This is 7National News. Here are the headlines. Prime Minister of Kuwait wraps up his visit to the UAE. UAE achieves top position in Middle East ranking in Rule of Law Index. And New Zealand Civil Defence cancels tsunami warning. And in our top story, after meeting with His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the President of the UAE, Kuwaiti Prime Minister Sheikh Nasser Al Mohammed Al Ahmed Al Sabah wrapped up his visit to the UAE as a part of his GCC tour. Sheikh Nasser and the accompanying delegation were seen off by His Highness Lieutenant General Sheikh Saif bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Interior, Mohammed bin Dain Al Hamli, Minister of Energy and Head of a Mission of Honour, and a number of senior state officials. His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE and ruler of Dubai, awarded 53 outstanding students of Grade 12 exams. The Ministry of Education selected the top students across the country from various public and private schools that are implementing the ministry's curriculum. On behalf of the ruler, the outstanding students received a special surprise in recognition of their efforts, receiving a gift of 100,000 dirhams and a laptop. Meanwhile, His Excellency Humaid Al-Khatami, the Minister of Education, honoured the students on behalf of the ruler, who was selected for their exemplary performances in school this year.
It is important for them, certainly, and important to us as the Ministry of Education to see this ceremony is just part of their history of education, their career. Now, this sort of ceremony to give them more confidence in themselves to go for higher education, and that this sort of ceremony as well, it's something for their families, for their hard work they spend all these years. So this is very important.
And judging from the reactions of the students and their families, the gesture from the ministry and Dubai government has encouraged the youngsters to forge ahead in search of their dreams.
I'm very happy. This is my start of my dream.
It feels great that they are encouraging us and giving us this present so we can actually think about the future more and try to do our best.
I'm just shocked with all these gifts and famous, cameras and whatever. And this really affects my future so much. And I'm really now I really want now to study in university.
The UAE has come top in the Middle East in the World Justice Project Rule of Law Index and is now ranked 13th globally. The WJP Rule of Law Index is a tool that has been developed to measure a country's adherence to practicing the rule of law. It covers 8 factors, including limited government powers, absence of corruption, order and security, fundamental rights, open government, regulatory enforcement, and access to civil and criminal justice. The UAE scored highly in each sector and described the government as accountable, mentioning the absence of corruption within the judicial system, police force and the military. At a time when corporate social responsibility is gaining increased attention from around the globe, business leaders are taking a closer look at the fine print of CSR. This was the topic of debate between 2 well-respected names in the business industry. Michal Kanu and Veronica Schubel deconstructed CSR to find out if it does add value to companies and the community.
The big debate on the value of corporate social responsibility to companies filled the Capital Club last night with business leaders. The question of to do or not to do CSR had the room divided. The prolific deputy chairman of the Kanu Group, often referred to as a controversial individual, Michal Kanu, says CSR is indeed just a hollow phrase.
We should be applying this responsibility not to a company because it just says, as an individual, I don't have to worry anymore. It's the company's problem. I have to say, it's my individual issue. I need to take care of it. Now, if I get in a collective of people who are like-minded in a certain idea to help create something good for certain people within a community, I'm happy with, fine, there's nothing wrong with it. But for people to say, you know what, no, every company has to do this, I think that's pushing people in a direction that I really don't agree with.
Meanwhile, Veronica Schobel, an organization consultant, executive coach, and CSR champion, says it is a must.
Stakeholders are asking for it nowadays. If you don't do anything, you're really taking a big risk that people are unhappy with you. Governments, consumers, communities. It makes good business sense to be involved with corporate responsibility, because if you do things well, then stakeholders will like you for it, consumers will support you for it, employees will prefer working with you.
Towards the end of the debate, those who were previously in favor of CSR were swayed to the other side. However, in the end, everyone took a stand.
Profits and CSR are not incompatible. And I think there is generally now an acceptance that companies that go down and do the stuff that some of the things that Veronica was talking about, it does add value to the company. It can add value, maybe brand image, which may impact market share. It motivates employees. They like to feel good about the company that they work for. That helps in recruitment and it helps in retention. And that is all saving costs. So it can actually impact positively the bottom line, but it's not a black and white issue. It's grey.
From Michel's aspect, he was talking about more personally supporting CSR. However, having lived in the Emirates almost 20 years, I believe that this should be much more strategically placed. There should be strategic planning. There should be a structure with a clear directive from the government that all of the companies, not just the Emiratis companies, but the global companies, that give a percentage of their income towards a CSR budget for green initiatives to help break the poverty cycle, whether locally or internationally. Things have to be done.
As an employee myself, if the environment is an enjoyable place to work because we enjoy what the company stands for, then those employees are going to be more productive.
Whether corporations decide to do their share or not to benefit the local or global communities, the choice remains in the hands of the decision makers. However, as the speaker said, none of us can end the problems of the world alone, the same way that none of us should be forced to do what everyone thinks is the right thing. Corporate social responsibility may be a term that gained popularity in recent years, but ultimately means the same thing: being a responsible corporate citizen and a good human being. Khadija Sali, 7National News.
And looking to news abroad now, New Zealand's civil defence cancelled a tsunami warning today, but warned of the possibility of stronger than usual ocean currents around the east coast of the country. The warning came after a magnitude 7.8 earthquake struck in the Pacific Ocean, northeast of the country around the Kermadec Islands, northeast of New Zealand's main North Island. The US Geological Survey said the quake struck at 7:03 a.m. on Thursday at the epicentre 131 miles east of Raoul Island and was only 30 miles deep. In China, the Huku waterfall of the Yellow River has witnessed powerful currents due to continuous rainfalls. The waterway has been filled with billowing water, and temporary bridges and huge rocks, usually exposed to air, have been submerged by the surging water. The water has risen to almost as high as the riverbank, forming various overwhelming waterfalls. The maximum flowing quantity of Huku waterfall is more than 3,000 cubic metres per second, and the flood period is set to continue for several days, according to staff members working in the area. And up next, we have the day's business news, so stay with us.